A little while back, Tolarian Community College released a short that featured an Abyssal Persecutor getting cloned, and that resulted in a curious situation where two people couldn't win or lose. So this got me thinking, would it be possible to make a commander deck that broke every single rule in Commander? So that's going to require a commander that forces your opponents to do things. So this is my Jon Irenicus Deck Tech. Now it is worth noting that this deck is pretty near and dear to my heart just because it's incredibly casual and it's not to be taken seriously. And that's partially because the ultimate goal is to not win but to prevent other people from losing. And what I mean by that is you want to create a board state in which no one can win or lose without your say-so. So it's kind of like politicking, but you hold all the cards. Now I also meant to release this video a few months back, but the problem was I had to completely revamp the deck just because I found that the average CMC was atrocious. And the reason why having a higher CMC is a problem is just because with Jon, you can only get rid of one creature at a time. So things like Jin-Kataxis Core Augur got swapped out for Blighted Agent or Slither Blade. The first combo you're going to try and aim for is casting Abyssal Persecutor or Platinum Angel, and then just copying that and passing those out like Halloween candy. The reason you want to do this is because you want to start screwing with the board state because you want to give people things that they want to be protective of. Typically people aren't as protective about the Abyssal Persecutors, but it's hard to get rid of an Abyssal Persecutor whenever everyone else is below that life threshold and they don't want to kill it because they don't want to lose. And kind of the inverse is the same for Platinum Angel, which you don't want to get rid of, but other people might want to get rid of because they want to win, they don't want to lose. And when I say you want to copy a whole bunch of these things, there's cards such as Mirage Mockery, Vesuvian Shapeshifter, so that way you can copy those creatures and pass them out. And there are also a lot of spells that bounce things back to their owner's hands, so that way I get the things I want, but everyone else gets the things I don't want. And that's another reason why I love this deck, just because it allows you to use all the cards that you really shouldn't play in Magic the Gathering because they are lower converted mana cost, but they have the trade-off. So this gives you all the benefit of like ETB effects or token creating effects, but the second they become no longer advantageous, you can just get rid of them, and it's super fun that way, at least for me. Another quick combo that's in here is the Thespian Stage and the Dark Depths combo, which I have in another deck tech. That allows you to throw out like a Merit Lage so that way you can finish off people super easily. I've thought about trying to go a little bit more token heavy, so I also threw Ominous Seas in here because whenever you start passing out a whole bunch of creatures, you get a ton of card draw, which allows you to rack up those counters on Ominous Seas very quickly. And there's also the Elixir of Immortality, so that way you can just kind of keep cycling things through. And what that does is that allows you to kind of just build up this wall, so that way you can't be touched, but all your opponents have to fight each other because thanks to Jon, everything you pass out is goated. And there are some alternate win cons because you do want to have a way to win. Unless if you for some reason hang on to an Abyssal Persecutor. One of those is Phage the Untouchable, because if you pass out something that you can't lose, the casting not from your hand is no longer a problem. And this last notable card isn't really like an alternative win condition, but it is really helpful. It's kind of an oldie but goodie. I'm talking about Cyclonic Rift, just because bouncing things back to its owner's hands is extremely helpful, because not only does it get rid of everyone else's board state, but let's say everyone else is below 0 life, and then you get rid of all of the things that are keeping them alive. That's an instant win for you. Unless you're also below 0, which is a problem. So let's look into some of the rules that this deck breaks, just because there's the obvious ones of you can't win the game and you can't lose the game. Those are the easy ones, but there are also things such as no maximum hand size, because there's a lot of card draw. So I have things such as Thought Vessel or Reliquary Tower, because those are just fun staples. Keeping in theme with the Reliquary Tower, no maximum hand size, is a card called Thought Eater, which reduces your hand size, and you can give that to one of your opponents. It's kind of like a cheaper version of, I believe it's Jin-Kataxis Core Augur. There's also an Infect Untouchable. There's Phage the Untouchable, which forces people to lose. And there's a handful of demons such as Lord of the Pit and Abhorrent Overlord, which either force you to sacrifice things or lose life, which those are especially fun whenever it's not you. Again, I tried to lower the mana cost, which was super helpful. Now, I mentioned previously that there's a bit of a politicking element, and that's why I also love this deck, just because since we're in the Dimir colors, we do also have a lot of interaction, which includes counter spells, creature destruction, and we are also running a bunch of creature recursion or graveyard recursion, just so that way we don't lose either the Platinum Angel or Abyssal Persecutor, just because those are the really fun ones. And it is worth noting that this is one of the few decks that I have no infinite combos in, because again, it is meant to be super casual and it's not to be taken seriously at all. And if you want to build something that's akin to this, because I do recommend just having that one deck that's not really serious, There is a deck list in the description below if you want to either try and improve upon this, because I am more than open to suggestions, just because this thing, it feels like it needs a whole bunch of upgrades. And if you got this far, I want to challenge you to do something. Either subscribe or check out a deck list. Don't do both. Do one or the other, just because I'm testing something through the analytics to see which one has a bigger impact. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll learn something new in the next video.